building a team is always one of the foundation pillars for a successful team. Your first core members are always a huge part of the organization, because they define the culture, they define the dynamics of how the company is going to grow as well. And a creative team especially has to have the right blend of expertise between creativity and the expertise with tools. So these two are, should be parallel in the right format. Plus, of course, communication within the team with the client, all these things makes a good team to grow successful in the future as well. So on that note, we have Jerry from Animaker, who has been doing whatever I just said for the last 1 minute for the last 6+ years. And in order to talk about more in detail, I couldn't think of a better person to have with us today. So in this next 30 minutes or so, plus the Q&A, that is whatever to follow up, we'll be talking through her experience in her journey as a team member to a person who has built one of the successful creative design teams that is making some huge rounds in the Silicon Valley today. If you are someone who is looking forward to build your own team, or if you're looking to create a team for your own startup, I am pretty sure there is going to be a lot of value add for you in the next 30 minutes to follow up from Jerry. Jerry, thanks once again for joining us. We are really excited to have you today on screen.
Lakshman, thanks for the very nice intro. I feel humbled. So thanks for the opportunity. So design isn't a frill, in the sense it is not a decorative or an add-on anymore. Even all big companies in the world have now started investing a significant amount of their revenue, almost 30% of their revenue in design. So that says it all, that design is the most important portion of any company. So good designs comes from good teams. So teamwork always makes the dream work. So ensuring that you put your design team in the path to success will be the first step of taking your company to the road to success. So having said that, I think this session I will share, based on my own experience, how to put your design team on the path of success.
Awesome, Jerry. Thanks a lot. That's exactly what we are looking at. But you just said that 30% of the budget is allocated for design, and the marketer in me, just had my heart pumped out. Like 30% of the budget. We guys get only 10% of the budget still in many places. You should be really lucky to get that. But saying that, it does add, a significant amount of value towards marketing, towards different functions of the company as well. So I think it is always justified, in the other hand. Perfect. Then I'm just gonna share my screen and I'm gonna get started with the questions. We have people coming in as well. I think we are joined with people on Facebook as well. So yep, I think I'm just gonna share my screen. So Jerry, firstly, can you walk us through the steps you go about planning your team structure? Of course, before the hiring starts, there is a bit of mind map that happens, and you kind of lay down a chart, towards this is how my team should look like. So can you walk us through that process, from scratch? Let's say you are building a new agency today. How would you do that?
Sure. Definitely, there needs to be a plan before structuring your team, especially for a design team. The team structure, you have to plan it well even before the hiring. So I have defined steps that I consider before the hiring process while structuring my team. So step one is I define a mission statement. What is the work we were brought together as a team to do? Mm-hmm. Second, how can this work best be done as a team? And what is the end result of our working together? And what will our work create for our organization and team? What is the project scope and timeline? So these are the different questions based on which I I define a mission statement based on the answers to these questions. What work are we going to do? What is the end result? And what are the scopes and timeline? And based on that, I define a mission statement. And step two, I focus on the roles. So with everyone bringing a special thing onto your table, so you have to value each role. Each role brings something special to your table. So you have to value each role, and you have to devise the thorough selection process before you start the hiring. Sometimes this might even mean you investing more time in the hiring process than you would like to. But I suggest you invest a lot of time in the earlier stage. it will help you. It will have immense payoff later, in the sense you not regretting later that this is not a perfect fit. In that sense, it saves all your time if you invest good time amount of time in the earlier stage while hiring. And even I would say before even hiring, when you devise the entire selection process, be strengthen your selection process, let it be very strong, have a very defined process for the hiring, so that you take the correct fit for your team, so that there are no internal conflicts. You have to have n number of factors before taking members on your team and structuring it. And finally, start by taking an experienced team leader for your design.
Oh,
This
okay.
team leader, he should be able to create and share a vision to his team, and he should inspire the entire team and the organization as well with his own designs. And he should advocate the importance of the design to all the team members. He should be able to create and share his vision. He should inspire by his very own design, and he should advocate the importance of every design. So you first define your mission statement, and then you focus on each role, have a very thorough selection process, and then finally you start by hiring an experienced design team leader. This is a very important step, because you hire the correct team, experienced team leader, half the job is done.
That's awesome. I think thanks for the detailed drop down, Jerry. I think right from basically guys, just to sum up, she started. I like the way how she started from an organization perspective. Think about what exactly is the vision, what as an organization you want to achieve, and then break it down to the project. What is a milestone? What is the timeline for the project? And then think about bringing in a team leader who can probably shape up, understand the project, and inspire the other team members with his design, and then go about the different roles. I think that's a nice approach to have as well. Thanks once again for the detailed draw, Jerry. The next question is, we spoke about how these teams are framed now, but at the same time the creative teams, they have been evolving over the years as well. I've in terms of skill set, in terms of the KPIs required from them, there are multiple ways these teams have evolved. So this is again an interesting question I always love to ask people. So there is this format of specialist versus generalist, and this is a never ending question, and it just keeps on and on and on. And I personally have an opinion on this as well, but still with respect to design and building a team, how would you go for how would you go about this particular question? Will you be going for a specialist or generalist? Do they have a competitive advantage? How do you see that?
We actually started very small. The design team had only one member who used to do both the design and the animation. So it was mostly like a generalized kind of an approach. And currently we have structured the team such that every individual can leverage their own area of expertise to fuel their passion and ride through a learning curve, and leverage the production and capitalize the production process itself to polish their own skills. So this is more of a specialist approach. If you are good at illustration, then you are hired as a graphic artist or a storyboard artist or a character designer, and you polish your skills as a pertaining to that role. If you are a good at animation, then you can polish your skill as an animator. This is more of a specialist kind of an approach. So today, I told you that we started with a one-member team, and now we have several design teams with a significant number of team members currently. So this is how the evolvement was. So first, like a generalist approach, and then we are now evolved with a specialist approach.
Awesome. So I understand that you had a very diplomatic answer to that. How you started with generalist and then go with specialist. But I'm just gonna go ahead and push you a little further here. If you had to pick one today, for your team right now, who will it be? A generalist or a specialist?
Of course, a specialist.
Specialist, all right.
Because
A
a specialist is very confident about what he does, and he instead of being jack of all trades, it is good that you polish your skills in one area of expertise instead of throwing everything in the open air. You just polish one skill that you possess in your area of expertise. So I will go with a specialist.
Got it. Guys, if you're looking to join Jerry's team, you know how to polish your resume now. Thanks for
Sure.
cracking that up. Thanks, Jerry. So again, I'm just gonna take it light one more time. Let's say I want to join your team. And what should I possess? What are the key qualities you look for right now? With a person before you hire them to a team. I know you just said that you look for a specialist, but still, can you break it down a little? In order to understand this better.
You mean what are the qualities that the person should possess?
Yes.
This is an interesting question for me to answer. If I want to hire you, you should be a creator or
Okay.
a maker. You need to be a maker and animaker with an
Okay.
undiminishing passion for designs.
Yep.
With the passion to create awesome videos and designs. And you should be a video lover who grades in and out designs and curates designs from all world competitors every day. So design should be a part of your everyday life. You should be highly committed. You should be a fast learner. And above all, you should be crazy enough to explore and do experiments and innovate new designs.
Awesome. I think
So that
that's
is
very
what all
nicely said.
Animaker is about. We are all about craziness and
Yeah.
exploring and innovating.
I think even the tagline says that as well. For people who haven't looked into the video, you should definitely check out Animaker's team video. It's probably one of the best videos ever made there. And I like the way you started it out, Jerry. Passion is what that drives first more than anything. And then, how I love the part how, the learning part came later. But still, if somebody is passionate about what they do and if they believe in, the product, or in our case, it is about videos, right? And if they believe in it, I'm pretty sure they'll go ahead, learn, and then innovate as well. That's actually a nice point for people to look out about as well. Are you passionate about doing something? Of course, the skill set and everything matters, but still, this always stands out as well. All right, so I'm just going to deviate into the next side of things now that we have hired and we have talked about the team a little. Let's say within a team, I understand that communication is a key aspect. Me and Jervin, we had this discussion the other day as well. How communicating with other teams is crucial. Be it design team, be it the engineering team. It is it is very important to give a proper creative brief and for them to understand it better and then innovate and communicate their ideas back. So there is a lot of communication that happens to and fro between different teams, especially with the design team, because they work with pretty much every other team in the organization. So how do you plan this communication and feedback model, both within your team as well as with different teams as well?
Definitely, in the design world, communication is very important to create masterpiece designs.
Yeah.
Feedback helps improve the quality of work, but client feedback is always becomes a frustration because especially in the design world, the visual has a lot of components: colors,
Yeah.
graphics, typography, the negative space within the frame. So there are a lot of components that will be commented upon and will get feedback. So definitely there will be unlimited changes, multiple iterations, and long emails that might frustrate as a team leader and as well the designer. So only a good communication will help save the day. So sometimes a lot of feedback might demotivate your designer and kill his creativity at the end of the day. So how do you handle this? Mostly especially in pandemic situations when we are in a remote kind of a setup where the team is not physically around you. This is definitely a challenge. There will be bottleneck of communications. So how do you solve the feedback loop? Definitely the answer is video communication. So since the feedback is all about your visual design, it only makes sense that the video communication is an answer. So I'm not talking only about the Zoom meetings and the Google meetings, but definitely a tool like Vmaker, which has which has solutions like screen recording and video recording, where I can go mouse over and highlight some elements and precisely say what the changes that are need to be in the video by visually showing the team these are the things to be done.
Okay, so this is another interesting question. We recently saw this, post on LinkedIn as well, which went viral, wherein the another company, who just hired somebody just based on their qualification, and right now they are moved from a security guard to a senior software developer. So yes, all these things aside, let's talk about broader perspective in a wider market today. Experience versus certification versus skill set. These three are like three different things. Now, you being a team leader who has created a team, what is the weightage does each of them carry, and how do you evaluate people based on these three areas?
Yeah. So let me tell you a small story.
Okay. Yeah, this is getting interesting.
John is a job as a financial analyst in a multinational analytics firm. But he lacks all the necessary skills for a new age analyst, such as financial modeling, SQL, and data analytics. And neither he is a good expert in presentation and report writing as well. But he is academically very sound. He doesn't have any skill set for a financial analyst, but still he was academically very sharp and extremely well read and confident about his knowledge. Another contender, Jane, she is very career focused and along skills like financial analysis, SQL modeling, data analytics, etc. to her kitty. But she doesn't have, she's also good at presentation skills and does not have a formal degree as a financial analyst. So who do you think will bag this job of financial analyst? Whether John, who is academically well but does not have the skill set, or Jane, who has the skill set but does not have a formal degree? Who do you think will get the job of a financial analyst? So this is a very tricky question. Today, many of us have formal degrees like MCA, MBA, CFA, CA, and so on and so forth. But sadly, the truth is it doesn't focus on the skill sets. Right from the time you start acquiring these degrees will only make you successful in the professional. You may think that adding skills to your kitty might make you big in the professional world, but this is also not true either. So what will make you successful? When you apply for a job, the employer, in order to screen your profile and to consider you for the job, he will only see your formal degree. So the degree helps you only to be considered for the job, but your ultimate aim is to get the job, but you need to excel in your career. So how will you you have now got the job with your formal degree, so how will you excel in your career? This is where the skill set will come into play. It is the biggest strength that will help you solve your day-to-day challenges in the work. It will help you to showcase your expertise, area of expertise in a best possible way, and it will also help you hook your catch your attention of your superior and grow in the career. So degree helps you to be considered for the job, and the skill set helps you to excel in your career with your. So both skills and qualifications are required. Both go hand in hand. One cannot survive without the other. Both complement each other. So both the things are necessary, both qualification and skill set.
That's nice. I just, as you were mentioning, I just posted the question on the chat as well. And we have people answering that, they value skill set more than a degree. But I think what you just mentioned is a very practical approach to what is happening exactly in the market. And that's exactly what I want to listen as well. If you need to be considered for a job, especially, if you're new to the role, then definitely you need a degree for people to consider you for the job. And once you join it and once you have to grow there, your skill set definitely matters, and without that you cannot survive on the long run. I think that's a practical answer, and that is exactly what I expected as well. And thanks guys for sharing us on the chat as well. Just keep this engaging. We are always having an eye on chat. Javan is the guy who is keeping his eye on the chat, so if you guys have something to share, please be open for that. Let me just jump on to the next question, Jerry. And so yes, this is another confusion which many people have. Whenever there is a new startup which is coming into play, they have some budget constraints every time, and there is always priority: where should you invest and where should you not? And we just started the conversation saying like 30% of the budget is going to design today. And for startups for whom there are different priorities, especially during the initial stages, what would your advice be for them, to create their own design team right from the beginning, or to outsource it to a proper creative agency?
See, apparently, for a startup, I would strongly suggest that you outsource it to the creative agency. 90% of our clients are startups. The reason being, agencies are able to diversify their talent pool and hire for specific tasks and specific projects. They ace the art of how to properly hire the right talent. So why not leave it to them? Above all, startups can get top quality work at affordable rates and at zero overheads. So just leave it to them so that the startups can focus on other better things that they really need to focus on. So you just outsource it to a creative agency, because at a very affordable rate, you can get top quality work done.
Got it. I think if I need to extend your answer, one thing which I have faced in the past as well is, if you think about outsourcing it to a creative agency, the advantage you get is, for example, when there is a design process, it's not just one person you're hiring. Maybe for the same cost, you hire like 3 to 4 people who are experts in the region. For example, a QA person, a creative lead, an illustrator, and whatever other designations we just mentioned. Plus, of course, there is a project manager as well who can help you. So they come in as a package, and that is something which is worth considering, especially when you are a new team and you want to employ the experts in order to do your job, instead of getting a beginner or probably somebody who has just started working on the same. And I think it's interesting to know. And I think the validation that 90% of the clients has been from startups justifies the comment so far as well. Yep. So I'm just moving to the next question now. Again, I am expecting an answer here already, but still, what makes a design a good design? The client say versus the customer's pick.
This is a very popular question. What is a good design? So it depends. So I can give you 10 commandments for a good design. If your design satisfies all these 10 criteria, then your design is really a good design. So first of all, it has to be innovative. It has to be genuine and authentic, in the sense you can inspire from other design, but don't copy it. So it has to be innovative. Your design has to be useful. It has to be understandable. People has to understand what your design is all about. It has to be aesthetic, appealing. It has to be unobtrusive, in the sense it should not be very sharp, jarring, and catching the eye. So it has to be very subtle and elegant. So it has to be sustainable and long-lasting. It has to be thorough down to the last detail. And above all, it has to satisfy the client's requirement, or a product requirement, or whatever the requirement. It has to meet the end goal. So these are the 10 criteria or commandments that your design, if satisfies all these criteria, then definitely your design is a good design.
Awesome. I think, I'm not going to try and repeat those 10 designs, but people, if you have missed taking notes of those 10 commandments, don't worry. Javan will be sending you a recording of this webinar pretty soon. And this will also be available on YouTube. If you guys have to revisit those 10 commandments and justify your design is a good design, then you have the video to back you up as well. But I think, I started saying that I expected an answer, and I got it exactly. You just said that it depends. And that's always the answer. And unfortunately, that is is the true answer as well. It always depends, and it is very subjective to the use case as well. And yep, thanks for adding the 10 commandments there as well, Jerry. So I'm just going to go ahead with one last question, and then we'll move into the Q&A. People who are listening, we are waiting to hear your questions on the Q&A column or on the chat, wherever you feel like. And after this question, we'll just jump onto the Q&A section. So my last question for you, Jerry, for newcomers like me, who are not experts in design, and can you help us understand between UI and UX? This, I know there is an overlap between them both, but in simpler terms, can you just differentiate between them both? And a follow-up question of that would be, UX today is it's just claiming a lot of attention today, especially in the product market. I think you and I, we both work in the product market, and we do understand how important user experience is today. And they, at many cases, they are defining a product success and failure as well. So how do you classify between UI and UX? And if you can just throw some light on how UX is gaining the market share it should be gaining.
See, UI and UX is the most confused and the most misused terms in our field, in the design field. So I would like to have an analogy here, if that would be of use. UI without UX is simply a painter slapping a paint on a wall without even a thought on it. You do a UI without the UX, it is like that, just a painter slapping paint on the wall, thought behind it. And UX without UI is just a frame of a sculpture without the paper mesh on it. So both has to, UI and UX both has to go hand in hand for the success of a product. To sum up, I would like to bring an analogy of skydiving, because everyone will know, at least in your lifetime, you will want to do skydiving. So
fingers crossed.
UI is the parachute, the jumpsuit, and the goggles, the safety helmet which you use for your skydiving. UI is like that, the different equipments which you use for skydiving. And the experience and the feeling that you have while you do the skydiving, that experience is like the UX. So UI is all the equipments that you use to do good skydiving, and the experience which you derive from skydiving, it is the UX. So UX design encompasses all the, it's all about experience, be it a website or a coffee machine or even your visit to a supermarket. Designer thinks about how the experience makes the user feel and how easy it is for the user to accomplish the desired tasks. For example, how easy it is to check out a process when shopping online. So how easy it is to fold a vegetable peeler. So does your online banking app is easy for you to manage your money? So everything about the user experience, making it easy and efficient and giving a very pleasant experience to your user, that is the UX design. Whereas everything that is about the aesthetics of the product. So the main difference is that UX design is all about the overall feel and experience of the product, whereas UI design is about the look and feel and the function and the interface of the product. In the future, we need not misread this. It is about everything that is related to the user experience is UX design, and everything that is related to the look and feel of the product and the interface and the intuitiveness of the product, that is the UI.
Perfect. So the follow-up would be, like I said, UX is gaining popularity, especially in the product market, more than, the product functionality. Some cases UX is defining the success rate as well. So how do you see the growth of UX, happening, and what is your comments on the same?
See, both are very essential, and both is has a good, very good growth with the digital proliferation. Both has a good scope. But whether you would want to be a UI designer or a UX designer entirely depends upon your skill sets. If you are a very a person who would like to identify problems and solve problems of the user, then you will become a UX designer. If you are more concerned about the aesthetics and the visual appeal, then you will become a UI designer. It entirely depends upon what skill sets you process that will, but both are equally has its own growth in the professional world.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Jerry. I think the last probably 30 minutes or so has been like amazing, and you've answered all your questions very patiently and in detail as well. I'm pretty sure who has listened it so far, they have had some wonderful takeaways. Javan is already smiling because he knows he has got a very good video in hand to work on later. And just to all right, let me just close this down. So guys, we are done with the formal questions which I had for Jerry. Some of these questions were also sent by you as well, so let's answer some more questions right now. I think Javan is already edging in order to start the Q&A process. He already told me that he has a few questions for you as well, so I'm just gonna pass the baton to Javan now. Javan, you can take it up from here.
Yeah, Jerry. So I have a couple of questions, and before that, I'm learning myself. Improving my design skills. Been using a couple of online tools, and the webinar design that you just saw, that was done by me. So it's pretty exciting for me to learn new stuff when it comes to designing. Let's jump into the questions. The first question is, what is your current team structure? You said you have 7 teams. So what is the structure within that team, and what should be the limit, or what kind of structure do you propose for a new design agency? There are lots of new entrepreneurs and a lot of people who are getting into the designing field. So what is the right structure that you propose to them?
There is no hard and fast rule here. So it generally depends upon what are the projects that you're going to undertake, whether it is a client service project that you're going to do, or whether it is for your product that you're going to do. So it entirely depends upon your requirement and the timeline that you have for this. Currently, we have a separate character designing team. We have a storyboard designing team, if it is for videos. We have an animation team. We have a video template creating team. So a character designer team, storyboard team, animation team, and template creation team are currently in place. So it can be, depending upon the requirement, it can be a centralized team or decentralized team, in the sense one team providing the deliveries to different teams. So there can be one centralized design team that can provide design to the sales team, the marketing team, or the DevOps team, or any different teams. Or it can be a decentralized approach, which is cross-functional, in the sense there are design team A, design team B, design team C, which provide designs to the other external teams. Or it can be a hybrid. It can be both centralized and decentralized. That is what I said. There is no hard and fast rule. It entirely depends upon the scope of the project, the nature of the project, and the timeline that you have for the project. So it needs to be, the team structure needs to be, I personally feel that the team structure needs to be flexible based on the projects that we are handling currently. So it can be mostly it falls into predominantly into either of these 3 groups: centralized, decentralized, or hybrid.
Right. Awesome. So the second question is, I think there's a lot of designers who work as freelancers, or who are part of organization, go through this particular tough situation, which is, how do you reduce the number of iterations, when you're working with the client? Do you have a limit by, you put out a contract saying this is the number of iterations that we can give you, or, how do you optimize it? What's the, trick behind, keeping it the minimal number of revisions and delivering the right design at the first go itself? Is that possible?
I can proudly say that my team has a very number of iterations. It was actually a learning phase. We used to have multiple iterations in earlier times, but we have learned through our experience that we have very less number of iterations. In fact, mostly it gets through in the first or the second round, a couple of rounds of iteration, because this is because in our experience, the team has really learned how to best match the client requirement with the reality, with the existing assets. How can we best match? We know what the client would expect, and based on that, we come up with the options that the client will get satisfied. We already have, based on our brains with the client, we'll try to read between the lines and try to pitch in the first attempt itself, that this client might like these things, this brand will sort to these kind of an options. This entirely comes through experience. And my small tips would be that you involve all the stakeholders as part of the review process. Make the review process itself so that it becomes the client walks along with you. It becomes his own journey, so that he doesn't taxes you much, and get as many inputs in the first brainstorming session itself, so that when you give your first design itself, it becomes a master design. So this we evolved and learned this as a process, and through our experience.
So do you think it's a good idea to cap the number of iterations based on a contract or some kind of agreement?
Definitely. There needs to be some kind of tag to the client. So it has to be both. You need to make it as part of the contract, like only 2 revisions per based on the budget that the project is getting signed up. So if it is a small project, these many iterations are only allowed. If it is a nicely budgeted project, then we can go a bit extra milestone and give them more number of iterations. So it definitely needs to be a part of the contract, and have some value proportion to the budget that the customer is offering. So it has to be both as part of the contract and as part of the process as well. How do you limit the number of iteration as part of the process? Is you define your process in such a way that you give milestones to the in the design. Give the pencil sketch, so that there is no much of an effort from the team's end. In the when you share the pencil sketch itself, get as many feedback as possible and revise it before you go into the digital master sketches. So by these kind of a process, defined a process, and involving taking more iterations at the initial stage, where there is less time and effort at the team end, you will save at the later stage. It will save your day at the end of the project. So it is both as part of the contract and process.
Awesome. Okay, that's a great answer. So the next question is, what are some of the tools that you use apart from About Suite and on regular basis? Is there anything that you use apart from this typical designing softwares?
See, we out and out we use Adobe Suite for both illustration and animation. So to get a quality product, we out and out use Adobe Suite and no other products. But here and there, if it is a very like a fast turnaround, this is for quality outputs. If it is for like a banner design or a blog design that needs to come out quickly, we use some do-it-yourself tools.
Right. Okay. So this is a very relevant question. The next one, which is, how do you brainstorm ideas when you're working with remote teams? I guess most of us are, working remote right now, and design is something that, you need to talk to your team very frequently. You get some work done. So how do you make all this happen, all the brainstorming when you're working with your remote team?
Yeah, I think I pretty much answered this question earlier. It is going to be only a repetition. So in this pandemic times, when especially for a design team, where we have every day had the team sitting beside you and working on the blueprints and the visual mediums. But now there is no proximity to your team. They are not physically around you. But how do you show and explain? Design is all about visual things. So how do you show them and explain? So this is where we use Zoom, Google Meet, and tools like Vmaker, which helps us to screen record, video record, and highlight elements and literally show like you are the second thing to nature. You just sit beside your team and how you show your screen and say these are the corrections. Tools like Vmaker saves my day to literally it is like my team is sitting near me and listening to me and seeing my screen. So Vmaker is the tool that we use currently in this remote kind of a setup for all creative briefing and for the feedback loops as well.
Great, awesome. So this next question is from Snehal. She's asking, what key metrics do you use to track your design and success? So she's basically trying to understand what are the metrics that you have when it comes to your designing or your team.
See, I will not say there is particular, you cannot define design through metrics. We have not done in the past like that. It entirely depends upon the client requirement and whether it meets the end goal, whether it meets the requirement. It is based entirely upon that.
Okay, right. So I think Snehal, if you want to fine tune your question, you can let us know in specific what you're looking to understand. This next question is from Banu, and this is, I think, specifically targeted at marketers. Okay, so the question is, what should a marketer know before coming to a designer with a design request? So basically, if I am going to a designer, in order to get the best work done, what should I know?
He should know he should define his requirement in terms of bringing a good reference of what he actually needs. What is the target audience? Who is his target audience? Basically, give a good what is the takeaway of that visual? What is the call to action that he needs based on that design? Whether he needs whether it is the call to action is a register or a call for a demo. So based on the call to action, based on the target audience, based on the takeaway of the design, I think these are the things that he need to communicate to the designer well beforehand, before the designer even pitches in to create that design. So he has to come with a well-defined requirement.
Right. So I guess for all the marketers out there, it's just to exactly know what you want and just, go tell the designer, this is what I want, and hope for the best design. So I think that sums up our Q&A session for today. Over to you, Lakshman.
Thanks, Javan. I actually loved most of the questions that was coming in, especially the last one. I was like really eager to get the answer on that. But yeah, I think being a marketer, or being anyone, not just a marketer, even if you're a client, when you are pretty solid, with your requirement, it's much more easier to communicate. And I love the line, Jerry, what you use. Using Vmaker as almost like being second to nature. I feel like my own design team sitting next to me. I think we are just gonna steal that line from you and use it probably in our campaigns as well. So, Javan, that's something for us to note. Thanks for giving us that. And I think thanks once again. We have closed the questions. It's been an amazing session. We had some wonderful questions. You gave some absolutely detailed answers. I'm pretty sure everyone found it useful. And people who are listening, thank you so much for joining and being very engaging as well. If you guys have any more questions for Jerry, please feel free to drop us in our community and we'll be happy to take it up. She'll be also happy to answer it as well. You've already seen that she's smiling, she's still energetic, and she still hasn't asked me like, Lakshman, isn't it time? So that's a part of our success metric as well. And thanks, Javan. Thanks for hosting the Q&A session as well. We will be sharing you the recording of this webinar to you through email, and we are hosting yet another, eminent person in our next webinar session as well. But for now, Jerry, once again, thanks a lot for joining us today. Any final words from you?
Thank you for the opportunity. It has been a pleasure as well for me. Anytime, I'll catch you up later also if at all required.
Sure, I think we really hope to do another session with you in detail as well. Thanks a lot once again for joining us. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you soon in another video with another awesome webinar guest. Until then, see you guys. Bye-bye.